Transparency, but also ethical issues are at the core of our business, because otherwise you cannot function properly in the real estate market, also in the Netherlands. I have to give a big compliment to ROCS to bring this report. The problem is that real estate is in itself very unchangeable, very fast, and you cannot change it very rapidly. So we started the discussion within IVBN, what do these very rapidly changing situations bring to real estate? And we are still searching for the answers, what is going to happen for the real estate sector itself. We see, and this report brings it excellently to the foreground, that there are many changes going on, like big data, etc. Everybody knows that. But now, how do we react as a real estate industry in the Netherlands? That's quite puzzling and quite a challenge for everyone. We don't have the answers yet. We are working on them. We are trying to get that by discussions. But the world will change very rapidly, I think. And it's hard to imagine, because you don't know what kind of changes are going to place. You have to react. And that's very difficult with real estate, I think. So we are preparing, and I hope that the coming future leaders will be people who adapt very rapidly on these changing situations.
The sector struggles to deal with all those new things that are coming up. And I think, and maybe that's a difficult thing to say at the Provada, but I think to a certain extent innovation will come from outside the sector. And I give again always the example of EasyJet, the owner of EasyJet. He said, I'm going to change the leasing sector in the UK, the housing sector in the UK, by simply introducing new business models. And this guy, he had never, didn't have anything to do with real estate, but he saw a chance, an opportunity, and he picked it. And I think, again, there will be more people looking at the real estate sector from a very different perspective, and they will change it. And of course, there will also be cooperation between new people, new kids on the block, and traditional players in the market. So I think that's a very important point to make, and also for the sector to take a look at.
Okay, so innovation will maybe come from places we don't expect it to come from.
It's happening already with Airbnb and Uber and WeWork. They are already doing it. And what I find the intriguing thing is that I still talk to people regularly, and I just wanted to say to Frank, it's not an issue only in the Netherlands. I think it's across the world. What we're seeing is that people still see. I was in a hotel and resort council. We have councils where senior leaders in the industry focusing on a specific topic twice a year come together to discuss the latest trends. And they were having a discussion, the chairs, about next council's program. And it was a discussion like, do we want to invite Airbnb? Oh, we are not impacted by this, so we shouldn't invite them. That I think this is what hampers the innovation in the sector, is kind of acting as if it's all okay and nothing's happening. Well, I totally agree with Maarten. It's coming from outside, and what we're seeing now with technology, it's going very fast.
It's not necessary to see it as a threat, but to see it as threat. Because if we make our investment plan, yes, we choose for urban regions. We choose for Amsterdam, for New York, for Singapore, for Hong Kong, for Shanghai. We choose for residential living and for healthcare. We choose for sustainable buildings. We choose for transformation of offices to residential. We choose for tenants. We listen to tenants what they want. It's coming from outside. Yeah, it's coming from outside. Outside for us are the tenants. What do they want? Do they want Airbnb or do they want an hotel? So, in my opinion, it's very impressive, but it gives a lot of chances for real estate investors to act on and to make progress in their plans and in their returns, and also to fulfill the society needs.
Well, I am a concept developer, so I'm more on the creative side of the real estate. For 2 years now, we especially for that reason visit big congresses like this abroad. We went to the US and we went to Dublin last year to the Web Summit. It's the biggest tech conference in, I think, in the world at the moment. And I think what you see over there is the influence of the tech world on our complete world. And I think the real estate sector is, well, they see it, because I hear from you all that you say, well, we have to cope with that, and it's not a threat, but we have to embrace it. But I'm very curious if our financial business models in real estate, if they are ready to cope with it, you know, because I think they are really, like, it's a fast, dynamic world outside, and it's like the, more, I call it old-fashioned, but it's not really true, but it's like the more static real estate business models. Yeah.
I think that's a very interesting point, actually. And what I see happening in that respect is that the models aren't ready yet. But you see some investors, mostly the bigger ones, and I think Dick can also talk about that. You see them moving much more to kind of placemaking, valuing the place, although it doesn't fit the model yet. Because the model tells you you need to focus on that building. So how do you value the place around that? And that also comes back, we are very serious about that point because it links into the success of density. Density cannot be successful if you are not able to value the place. So you need to think about ways to value the place. What is the value of a park? What is the value of combining affordable housing with high-end residential as well? And that requires you to have a broader view, a more long-term view on how do I make this place successful not only for today or tomorrow, but also in 30 years' time. And that's the challenge that we're currently looking at. And so I totally agree to that.